Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your boy, Marc Coley. Thank you for being here. If you're new here, we talk all things mindset, mastery, personal development, spirituality, life, purpose, calling, gifting, wrapped into life lessons, practicality, all of that good stuff. So if you are a fan of that type of content, and maybe you've watched one of my previous videos, I want you to hit that subscribe button. Did the light up? Did that thing light up? Hit that. Leave a comment. Talk back to me. Make this thing clap. Make it clap. Make it slap. I'm just kidding. It's getting a little carried away there. Anywho, as you can see by the title of this video, I want to talk about should you, as an entrepreneur, go back to work if you've did your big one and you quit work. Should you go back? This is an interesting topic to me because I have so much to share on it because of my experiences and the experiences of others. So I want to kind of include all of that into this conversation. So let's get into it. Now, the space of entrepreneurship, in my personal opinion, has changed so much over the last few years. And as you can see, I have my notebook here because I want to make sure that I get all of the talking points. It's changed in the last few years. Like, I literally can remember a time where no one was talking about entrepreneurship. No one was talking about being an entrepreneur, business owner. All of that stuff was kind of far-fetched unless you were what I consider an individual that is called to this space. And we'll get into that a little later on as well, because I don't believe that everyone should be an entrepreneur just because it's trending, just because it's popular, or just because you're gifted or have a certain skill set. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a good entrepreneur or business owner. You could just be good at what you're good at. But as I said, we're going to talk about that a little later on. Now, in my day, I'm 36, right? In my day, with the social media and the rise of the internet and the rise of us sharing our lives online, you started to see an uptick in people being business owners. And like any social networks, whatever you're doing, you're probably going to find yourself engaged with others that are doing similar things as well. So this information I'm sharing is coming from my experiences, what I saw at a certain time, what I see now, and also, like I said, the conversations that I've had with others and what I've seen online by way of those who I'm connected to. One of the first things that I'll highlight is there was this notion in the entrepreneur space as it was emerging that if you're not full-time, meaning that if you're not solely just focused on your business and you don't have a 9 to 5 or anything outside of it, you weren't legit. Now, take it how you want to take it. That was the talk. That was the understanding. It was like the unspoken language of the entrepreneurship world. Like if you were to talk to somebody at a networking event or anything and you ask them, so tell me about your business. And the following question is probably going to be, so you do this full time, right? Or what's the status on that? Because in my opinion, this was a method that was used to gauge who's really about that life and who's not about that life. And I have to admit, I was a part of that as well, because at the time, although I was in the military, I was focused heavily on, okay, what's my exit plan? Because I want to focus entirely on building my business. And at this particular time, a job just kind of stood in the way of my great becoming, my great success. And so we then go into a phase. I'm not sure of the timing as far as like the year and the time stamp, because it's kind of like it's just happening in real time. And so I remember the next evolution or trends rather that I'm seeing on social media is fire your boss, fire your boss, fire your boss movement. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it was the MLM space or what, but everybody is teaching you or telling you about firing your boss and getting your time freedom back. So now you have people who may have had the itch to be an entrepreneur or business owner, and now you're hearing this kind of propaganda and you're like, yeah, let's go. I want to fire my boss. And then we're also seeing the rise of those who have found success inside of business. So now you're having these conversations around, I just launched this and I made 6 figures, or I made 10,000. Now let's keep in mind, this is the internet. And we can be whatever we want to be on the internet. I'm not saying people weren't making that money or doing this and that, but some people were lying. Some people were lying. Yeah. Some people liars. Some people were creating digital products and different things, teaching you how to do something that they have not done. And the reason that they were about to tap into a 6-figure year and a 6-figure lunch is because you was about to buy the lie. Okay? Listen, The stories I could tell y'all about the deception online. So you got all of these movements happening at one time, and it's causing a lot of people prematurely to exit their jobs, right? Now, for me, it's slightly different because I've been an entrepreneur since high school. I just didn't have a word for it. I just didn't have like, oh, this is what you call it. And what the internet and social media did for me was expose me to others that, oh, this is not a linear thing where I'm the only individual like this. There are several other people who have this ambition of starting something, of creating movement, leading organizations. And so actually the sole purpose that I found myself in the military is because I had a t-shirt line at that time and I needed some income to help that thing continue to grow or do whatever. And so I was like, what can I do? And the best thing smoking at the time was the military. So I actually went to the military to fund a business idea. But aside from that, it was one of the greatest decisions that I made. So here it is that I'm already an entrepreneur and I'm finding my footing and I'm in the military and all of these movements are going on online. And it's just really cementing the idea in my head that in order for me to expand, to grow, to become the next great wonder, I have to leave my job. Now, I also believe that it was time for me to leave the military. I don't believe I made a mistake in that department. But in hindsight, if I was to look back over it and do things slightly different, I probably would have stayed in just a little longer. Or I would have started preparing for the full-time life better. All right? So one of the first questions is, should you quit your job if you're interested in business or becoming a full-time entrepreneur? It's up to you, right? But I'll say keep your job as long as possible. Keep your job as long as possible. I know them folks getting on your nerves. I know them hours is getting on your, I know everything is getting on your nerves right now. It's really getting on your nerves because you have this idea about what full-time entrepreneurship will look like. You have glamorized a lifestyle that many don't really live once they leave their 9 to 5. You've heard so many stories and webinars and YouTube videos of I jumped out and in 90 days I made my first and you just gotta have faith and you just gotta say your affirmations. And you've heard so many of these pep talks that you believe that, okay, it's gonna be the same for me. That's not to say it won't be the same. It's to say that chances are it won't be like that. And chances are it wasn't like that for them. They lying. Not everybody, somebody though. So if you can manage to do your business and grow your business and keep your 9 to 5 at the same time, do it. If your 9 to 5 is paying your bills and your business is not paying your bills, do not look at your 9 to 5 as the enemy. It is your assistant. Don't look at it as it's standing in the way. Baby, it's providing the way. You got to shift your perspective. Like I said, I know them people getting on your nerves. I know they are, but they going to get on your nerves in the entrepreneur space as well because you're going to have clients and different things that you don't like doing. Don't glamorize a life that you have not lived yet. Don't look at these people on social and then just think that they at the beach 24/7, that they just waking up late and they doing this and they just living this fabulous life. Some are, some ain't. Some are, most ain't. And that's just facts. So if you're able to balance all of those entities, keep your job. And if you really feel this urge to leave your job, have a plan. Don't think when you put in your pink slip and you make your social media posts of how you're about to jump into your business and how you believe God. Once you do all of that, that doesn't mean that the magical doors of success are going to open for you. Trust me, I've been there. I lived through it. I thought, oh, well, God told me to do this, or I feel this nudge to do it. Then obviously, if it's spiritual, then this is spiritual alignment. And I'm just going to walk right into 6 figures and 7 figures and this client and that client. And baby, I had a wake up call. Wake up call, because that was not my reality. That was not my experience at all. Now, I could have prepared better if my intentions were leaving. See, a lot of us, we don't even prepare. We just jump in. We go to one motivational brunch, one entrepreneur her brunch, one invest fest brunch, one thing, one webinar, seminar, one conference, and they done hyped you up to the point you like, oh yeah, it's time. I'm about to jump. Bruh, I'm just saying, y'all, keep it as long as you can. Now, here's another perspective I want to throw at you. You may not even want to be a full-time entrepreneur. I saw this post, don't let the internet rush you. But here's another thing. Don't let the internet convince you of something that you don't truly want. I was talking to a gentleman that I know, and he makes cakes. Great cakes, makes cookies, just really a great cook. And, I'm talking to him years back, and I'm like, bro, you could really grow this. You could really, really like, I just felt like he could really be doing more with that business model. Now he works a 9 to 5, has a 9 to 5. And on the side, he does the cakes. And I'm like, bro, you could really, these cakes are great. It seems to be, like people want these. Like I'm always seeing you on posts on social where you're posting about, delivering orders. And what he told me blew me away because he said, no, I'm fine like how it is. What you mean you fine like how it is? You don't want it to grow? You don't want to be a 6-figure this and a 7-figure that? You don't want to have bakeries and sell to restaurants and this and that? We sometimes think that everybody has to have the goal of becoming the next millionaire. Or we sometimes believe the hype and think everything we do business-wise has to scale. We got to have employees. We got to have a storefront. I'm not saying none of that is bad because growth is good most of the time. But there is a class of people that don't desire to be a full-time entrepreneur. There is just like my friend I'm referring to, he wanted a business because he's passionate about cooking. He likes it, but he doesn't want something that robs him of the joy of what he actually loves to do. He enjoys cooking a little stuff here and there, baking here and there, delivering here and there, making a little money here and there, but he doesn't want this to be a full-time gig. And at that moment, I couldn't understand because I was under the spell and the illusion of everybody want to fire their boss. Everybody want time freedom. Everybody want to work for themselves. Everybody doesn't, and everybody shouldn't. So everybody is not called to be their own boss. Now, here's another thing too, because we have this notion in the entrepreneur space of, well, y'all jump out here in this entrepreneur. Yeah, everybody can't do this. This a different type of da. And we start to make entrepreneurship as if it's this special thing where most people can't do it. And what I mean by that, we kind of like create this class, like in order to start a business, do it full time, survive the ups and downs and the peaks of business, highs and lows, you got to be this special kind of warrior type person. While some aspects of that is true, that can be applied to anything in life. And so sometimes entrepreneurs have this whole chip on your shoulder, like, yeah, everybody can't do this. You gotta have different kind of hustle, da. Well, you gotta have a different kind of hustle to be a doctor. You gotta have a different kind of hustle to be a carpenter. You gotta have a different kind of hustle to be a scientist. You gotta have a different kind of hustle to be a pediatrician. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? Every industry or space, you gotta be called to it. So we have to stop the whole conversation, because what it does is it negatively impacts those who attempt to do a business or entrepreneurship, and maybe they like, this ain't for me, I'm going back to my 9 to 5, or this ain't for me, I thought it was something else. And we make them seem by our conversations that they're failures because they did not align with this particular lifestyle. And I always say this too, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Who gonna be the consumer? Who gonna be the contractor? Who's gonna be the assistant? Who gonna be this? Everybody shouldn't be the boss. You think about a world where everybody's the boss of their own company. No. And I'll say this as well. I'm on a tangent, so you listen. You just enjoy this. Some people are good at things, but they're not good at being in business. And that has to be, you have to be aware of that as well. Like, I'm good, I have a skill set for that, but I'm not good at the business aspect, and that's okay too. Ain't no shade, no nothing against you. It's just your skill set doesn't align. Because there's some business owners that they ain't got no good customer service. There's some business owners that don't know how to talk to people. Yeah, you good at cutting hair. Yeah, you good at mowing this grass. Yeah, you good at doing nails, hair, lashes, and extraordinaire. But you got a nasty attitude. So you're gifted, but you shouldn't be a business owner. You should probably be working for somebody because you ain't good at keeping your books. You ain't good at keeping a schedule. You're not good at innovation. You're not good at the business side. You good at the hustle side. And that's, once again, that ain't no shade, no tea. You just have to find where you fit. So everybody can't be a business owner. Everybody can't fire their boss. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Some people need to take their skill set and align with an organization or a company or a business in which they can get a steady paycheck. Now, I'm going to also throw this in here too. Figure out what you want. Do you want to be a full-time entrepreneur? Okay, cool. If you're at a 9-to-5, start planning for that. Start planning your exit strategy. Start skill stacking. Pretend some of the greatest advice that I received when I was in the military was, he's a friend of mine now. He's a veteran as well. At this point, everybody knew my intentions. Like, at the end of my contract, I'm getting out. Period. Ain't no re-enlisting. Ain't none of that. I'm gone. And he says, Coley, I understand what your intentions are, and I support it, you know. He says, but while you're here, why don't you utilize this as a way to sharpen your craft and your skill set? And I never thought about that, because at this time, once again, everybody's having a conversation of fire your boss, fire your boss. So you start looking at your boss or your organization as the enemy. Everybody, yeah, you need time freedom. Them people don't care nothing about your job. All that may be true. Not all of it, but some of it may be true. But here's the reality. Right now, this job is paying your bills. Right now, this job is giving you insurance. Right now, this job is giving you somewhat of stability. So it's not all the way your enemy. Them people ain't that caught up on you like that, for real, trust me. So what he said was, utilize, while you are here, utilize this to sharpen your skill set. And that shifted everything for me, because I, for the first time, started to think, okay, I'm going to be here. Of course, I'm going to be getting my paycheck. But why don't I pretend that I'm operating a business here? If that's my true intention. So let me pass on that advice that was given to me. If you're at your 9-to-5 and you do have an exit plan and a strategy, start stacking your money, because you have to prepare for a business that may not be making money already. If your business is making money, try your best to get that business where it's replacing your income, right? So everything ain't gonna be perfect. Everything ain't gonna be black and white, and that's okay. But at least attempt to have a plan of action. Attempt to stack your bread, because you want to have an exit strategy. You just don't want to have this jump off the cliff experience if you can avoid it. Some people didn't have a choice. Some people got fired and they were pushed into this space. Some people, just things fell apart and they didn't have a choice. But if you have a decision, make that transition as easy as possible. I know that it feels like a rush. It feels like this job is standing in your way. I know you feel as if this job wasn't here, you really could focus on the business and you really could make money. And the reason that you have not grown is because you got to focus on this job and it's taking so much of your time. I get all of that because I was exactly there. But here's the reality. Once I got out of the military, my 9-to-5, I realized I didn't have no structure. I didn't have no consistency in things. I thought I was more disciplined than I actually was. And so what I'm saying to you is that you may think that job is holding you back. You may think that once that job is gone, you're going to be so focused on the business. Baby, you're going to do just what you do at them people's job. You're going to be slacking. I'm just telling you what it is. You're going to be on your phone all day. The entrepreneur space transitioning from 9-to-5 to being solely relying on you, that's a different kind of world that you probably ain't prepared for. So you want to make sure that you have the smoothest transition that you could possibly create for yourself. That's all I'm saying. Now, the second thing of that is maybe you're a person that wants both. Maybe you want the business and you want the 9 to 5. That's cool. As I was telling you about my friend with the cake business, he wants both. He doesn't want one to replace the other. He enjoys both. And if you're that person, I think that's the best of both worlds. I'm an advocate for that because you could be making a nice side income to supplement your main income. Maybe that's your play money. Maybe that's your savings money. The business probably isn't not that big where you can't manage it and do it after work or do it on the weekend. Just depends on your schedule. You still got, depending on what kind of job you have, you still have the benefits of your 9 to 5. You still have other things to focus on. So I just think that hybrid model is great. But you may be a person that says, I want my business to grow. I am the next fill in the blank. I want a team, a staff. I want the franchise. And that's cool too. You just got to figure out what your intentions and what your goals are aside from everybody else. And here's the last group. Maybe you stepped out there. You did the business. It was a success, actually, but it stressed you the hell out. It was the worst time of your life. You were making money, but you like, yo, that, no, no, ma'am, no, sir. That's cool too. No judgment here, right? Maybe you actually said, I tried that. It was cool for what it was, but let me go here and scoot on back. I got a friend, same thing. Like she built $1 million businesses and brands on TV, magazines, Essence Fest. And you know what she did this year? She went back to work because she was just exhausted from leading a company, from doing this and that. And she just wanted she wanted to move in a different space. And I was like, you are so brave. Why? Because people sometimes we hold on to these accomplishments as identities. Like, oh, well, she going back to work. That business probably ain't doing too good, child. Or he going back to work. That business probably ain't all that no more. And that could be the farthest thing from the truth. But even if it is the truth, okay. People, it's so crazy, like, to demonize somebody because they need to pay their bills. Are you going to pay it for them? Are you going to pay it for them? No, you're not. So demonizing people or chatting about them and gossiping about their pivoting because they need to provide for their families, for themselves. And if that business is not making money, it ain't making money. That's just point blank period. It ain't no shade, no tea. No tea, no shade. However we said. And so I was just so like, oh, that's so cool. I'm just so inspirational that she was bold enough to do that because she wanted to. It was her calling. It was her decision. Not that business wasn't doing good. I just want something different. And if you've been in business for a while and maybe it was successful and you're having that feeling of, I want to go back to work, do it. Do it. Because you're such a dynamic individual now from that experience that employers are going to eat you up. They are, because you just have a different level of information, of intel, because being an entrepreneur, you have to figure out a lot of things by yourself. There is no marketing department in this department and that department and accounting. Baby, you learning all this yourself. And so then if you do have a successful business or you don't, you still have these skill sets that you've acquired and you can take them back to the marketplace or back to the employer. So flexibility. Take these identities and different things off of your shoulders. What works for you right now? What pivot will work for you right now? All of them fit if it's your intention, if it's your goal. Right? And here's the last little aspect I'll talk about in this. Maybe it wasn't the business failing. Maybe it wasn't the business being successful. Maybe it wasn't any of that. Something that I was not prepared for when I jumped into full-time entrepreneurship was depression. I'm pausing because I really need you to hear that out. I was not prepared to be thrust into a world where I didn't have a schedule a routine, any of that. So that whole notion that we were all time freedom and get your time back and fire your boss, I said that was the greatest scam of that little window of time ever, because one, people forget that your job or your employment is a big part of your life. You spend more time with your coworkers than you do with your family members. So that's a big aspect of your life. You driving to work daily is a routine. You All of these things are a part of you. You forget that Monday, okay, after the excitement of, oh, I get to do whatever I want, I'm off. The cons that a lot of people don't realize is that the weekends lose their magic when you don't work a 9 to 5 anymore. You know how that magic feeling of Thursday comes a little bit, and then Friday, and then Saturday, and you kind of get a little sad on Sunday because you got to go back to work Monday. But that Friday feeling starts to go away. Why? Because you have all of this time freedom. I'm talking from this experience now. You forget that the coworkers that got on your nerves, you actually miss them. You miss going to work, being around people. I know some of y'all not at all. You don't miss them. You hate it. You hate the traffic. I'm talking to the people that, don't have the language of like, okay, I'm out here, but I feel sad, or I felt sad, or I felt disconnected. Some people need to be in an office. Some people need to be around people. Some people need to have the whole experience of waking up in the morning, getting dressed, getting out of the house, grabbing a cup of coffee, and getting to work. Like, they need that. And so here it is, when you fire your boss and now you're fully into entrepreneurship, all of these emotions start to hit you that you wasn't prepared for, because the social media posts that you saw, the influencer posts, it's just like they just have this happy life. They're waking up at the beach eating eating crackers and cheese and they just drinking mimosas all day, and their life just seems so full and so fun, and then when you quit your job and you step into this role, you're like, this isn't fun, this isn't enjoyment, this isn't, and it can get there. But in the beginning, it's not. And you also have to grapple with the reality that it may never change. The business may not do good. So all of these aspects come into play when you start to have the conversation about full-time entrepreneurship, hybrid entrepreneurship, people that try it out and like, this ain't it. This ain't it. And it's, like I said, all those aspects are perfectly fine. You just have to be honest with yourself, have a real conversation with your finances, have a real conversation with your faith, and see what works for you, right? So that's been my spiel. This is probably the longest video. Clearly, I had a lot to say about this topic, because I've been through so many different variations of this experience of the full-time. Initially, I was a full-time entrepreneur, then I went to the military, and then I was balancing those two things, and I left. And within the last several years of me being out of the military, I've worked 2 jobs, I want to say. Very short-lived. The longest one, I think, was maybe 4 months. And the first one was because I needed to get out of the house. We were just out of that pandemic. I was like, I need to get out of the house. I need to do these things for a little while just to get back, like some type of familiarity. And then the second time that I went back to work was for the same reason. Like, I need to get out. I just need to be engaged in something other than my business, other than the things that I'm doing. And like I said, both were short-lived. I did enjoy that extra little paycheck. I ain't even gonna hold you at all. I'm still thinking about now, like maybe I could find something on the side. Maybe I can do a little Uber here and there. The extra money is always good. And also just getting out the house. Because I know if I get out of the house and my mental state and my creativity and all these things start to have an uptick in those areas, I know it will bleed over into money and finances and growth, right? And happiness and fulfillment. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. If you love content like this, do me a huge one and subscribe below. Leave a comment. What are your experiences? Where are you in this journey? And then I also have information if you would like to connect with me and my community of Mastering Life with Marc Coley. I'm Marc Coley, of course. We have a Zoom call every single Monday. So this Monday coming up, we got one at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What we talking right here, mindset mastery, personal development, personal growth, self mastery, spirituality, kind of blending it all together in practical language and terms so that you can understand it. And we start the week together every Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you into stuff like that, holla at your boy, connect, let's grow together. But until next time, let's continue to evolve.